Here at UK, there are 546 student athletes, all with different classes, sports schedules, and lives. For many, it can be a challenge to find ways to balance their many obligations. The stress that athletes endure can lead to anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and suicidal thoughts. 31% of male and 48% of female NCAA student athletes reported having anxiety or depression. Although it can come across that athletes have more advantages than others, it's important not to overlook their mental well-being when thinking about these things.
So usually I start out with classes around 9 through 2 p.m. And sometimes in between there's like lift or finding time to eat lunch. And then usually after that is practice, which goes from around 3 to 6. And then after that, it's kind of my me time and winding down in the day. I think volleyball became more of a job when I got to college because, you're playing for your scholarship. And in high school and club, it was more focused on like having fun and playing with your best friends. And, it was really good memories, but now it's just kind of more, this is what I have to do and I have to perform well.
Well, over the years, we've had several instances of athletes working through mental health challenges, and so trying to identify what needs they have and how we can provide resources for them to get help when help is needed. It's a combined effort of everybody on our staff, from coaching staff to administrative staff to strength coaches to athletic trainers to nutritionists, to help our student athletes in any way they can.
After speaking with a current player and coach, we wanted to get perspective from someone with both experiences. We were able to meet with Madison Lilly and speak with her about the development of mental health resources from the time she started playing in 2017 until now.
Yeah, I think mental health as a whole, and along with sports psychology and everything, now is so accessible to our student athletes, and it was while I was here as well. I think that it was just not spoken about as much as it is now, and I know our team meets with our sports psychologists once a month as a team, and then some people on their own individually. I utilized our sports psychologist my junior and senior year, and relied on him a lot my senior year through COVID and all of the changes and just uncertainty. So more my senior year than ever, I think I really understood the importance of mental health and how leaning on others and knowing where to turn when you do need that support is really huge. And I think as a program, we do a lot to let our student athletes know where they can ask for help and make it very clear that asking for help is encouraged and not something that has a stigma around it.
I've never not felt supported here at UK when I've gone through a struggle, but I definitely have felt lonely, and it's hard for me to ask for help sometimes because we are like athletes and supposed to be on this high level, and just asking for help is kind of vulnerable, and it's just hard to do that for everyone. And so asking for help would be the hardest, but I do always feel like there's resources and support for the difficult moments.
The University of Kentucky offers multiple resources to help athletes reduce and maintain their mental health. These can include the CAT Center, which supplies tutors and academic advisors to keep their grades in check, sports psychiatrists for specific teams, and overall supportive coaching staff who are always looking out for their athletes. Sports psychiatrist Scott Littleton now gives us his insight on how he specifically supports players struggling with their mental health.
So first thing you do is we got to get them in the office. Typically, that can be a referral from a coach. It could be from maybe they're not sleeping, so they go to our regular student health, and then that individual recognizes that there's a lot of stressors and mental health issues. So the referrals come from a lot of sources. We have at UK, we have this whole outline that I think everybody on campus gets, or the athletes do, that sort of outlines where you can get help. I think this is a very good thing. Once I have had a patient come in, I usually give them my phone number, so it's pretty easy for them to call and make appointments. I've had some coaches that I met a football coach the other day that I had never met him before, but I went up and shook his hand and thanked him for making my job easier. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm your sports shrink, And I couldn't count the number of times you have pulled a kid into your office just because you felt like something was going on. And his timing's pretty impeccable. And he's been very encouraging about players going and getting some help. Whereas I think maybe in the old days there was just no such thing as get some help.
And I think unintentionally there are times when other students may think that they're on a pedestal, but I don't think that's a thing that student athletes ask or want. I think they want to feel like they're part of the general student population. But our student athletes are also asked a lot of their time and commitment level, and they don't have as much free time and downtime as other students, and that's by choice. I mean, we've all chosen to be part of this, but there are times when their demands are more than others. And
there are a lot of things that I wish outsiders, I guess, knew about student athletes as far as mental health goes, but I think connecting with student athletes on a completely separate basis than just their sport is really important. And I think the easiest thing to do is ask student athletes about their sport and about practice and about the games, and that's already a massive consumption of a student athlete's everyday life. So I think asking about family, asking about outside hobbies, asking about what they're doing for the holidays, when did you have family? I think asking about things that aren't sport related are really, really important, because I think that that's where a lot of mental health struggles come in for athletes, when they get all consumed and feel like all of their eggs are in one basket, which is their sport, and can be, again, really daunting, and feel like that's almost all they're good for. So I think it's really important for everyone, whether it's coaches, staff, teachers, professors, family members. I think it's important for everyone to continue to remember that student athletes are people before they're athletes, and you could never ask about outside of a game more or enough, I guess. So I would encourage everyone to ask more than just about the sport.